Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas, and this is Investing Against the Grain. Well, as I look at this stock price continue to dwindle lower and lower, I can't help to think about where we were just a few months ago, at the end of 2021, in a time where we were all so excited, so euphoric about all the things to come. Giga Berlin was going to open. Giga Austin was going to open. 4680s, ramps, right? All these good things. FSD is getting better and better. It was just a great time. Tesla was having less and less debt. Elon Musk was done selling his shares. Man, 2022 was going to be a great year, wasn't it? And then this all happened. We literally went from, call it $1,250 a share down to, we're teetering at about $705 at the moment. That's about a 44% decline since January 1st. 44% decline. This is ridiculous. You would have thought that something earth-shattering happened, okay? Something that just was so unpredictable that Tesla completely, all the competition caught up or something. But no, that's not what happened. Nothing happened. In fact, nothing but good stuff has happened for Tesla. The only bad thing, maybe Giga Shanghai was shut down for, call it a month because of COVID. But other than that, there's been no issues with Tesla. Tesla's stronger than ever. In fact, now they have no debt. They have more cash than they've ever had. They've got 2 brand new factories. They have FSD just getting better and better. New versions set to come out any day. On top of that, Elon Musk just announced Tesla AI Day, Part 2. Think about it. Nothing but good stuff has happened. Yet here we are at $705 now. Like, this is just ridiculous. This is insane. But this is why we invest for the long term. So for those of you who just have shares, hey, nothing really to worry about. For those of you who have options, might be something to worry about. For those of you getting margin called, definitely something to worry about. But either way, whether you are a person who just has shares and you're just holding out and it's still annoying, whether you're a person who's on the other spectrum getting margin called, we're here together. We'll get through this together one way or another. We know that this has nothing to do with Tesla. And I think that is something we can hang our hat on, and that is how we know we're still in a good investment. Because it's not like this is happening just to Tesla. This is happening across the market. Sure, Tesla gets a higher effect because they're a higher beta stock. In other words, if you don't know what that means, essentially if, say, the NASDAQ went down 1%, normally Tesla is a beta of 2. So in other words, Tesla will go down 2%. So essentially it doubles whatever the NASDAQ does. Now that's not written in stone, right? These things can change. But this morning, it actually looked like Tesla almost decoupled from the NASDAQ, which would have been amazing. But then it fell right back into where it was. It was funny because I was literally about to tweet this. I was at a doctor's appointment and I saw Farzad tweeted it, and it was funny. I just told him I was thinking the exact same thing. But I guess Farzad and I jinxed it, and here we are at a more than beta of 2 potentially. Anyways, not what I want to talk about today. I'm not here to talk to you about these depressing times within the stock market. I'm here to talk to you about Tesla AI Day Part 2, which is extremely exciting. But before we get into that, I want to talk about this ESG drama that has come out. If you aren't aware, ESG stands for Environmental Social Governance. Really, the whole idea behind ESG was to, I guess, give clarity or give a score to companies that are doing things more than just thinking about the bottom line, about the financials, right? In other words, companies that are doing things to make sure that they're greener, that they're recycling, that they have equal opportunities within their companies, right? All these things that you would think should just be normal things companies do, but instead a score is applied to them. And company or investment firms, hedge funds, mutual funds, etc., they all now look at this as an important metric to make sure a company has a good ESG score. So why am I bringing this up? Well, take a look at this. This article came out today saying, here's why Tesla was removed from the S&P 500 ESG index. That's right. This metric for environmental, social, and governance, Tesla just got booted out of it. All right. And instead, we have oil companies in it now. So let's read this. The S&P 500 ESG Index, which gauges the performance of securities meeting sustainability standards, has seen its annual rebalancing this month. Even though the S&P 500 follows only major companies, some companies are ahead of their competitors, and the rebalancing resulted in the removal of some components while new companies were added to the index. Among the companies removed as a part of the rebalancing was also the world's largest electric vehicle maker, Tesla. Elon Musk car company giant was removed from the index because it was, quote, pushed further down the ranks relative to its global industry group peers, said Maggie Dorn, Senior Director of Head of ESG Indices North America, S&P 500, Dow Jones, yada, yada, yada. Even though Tesla's S&P DJI ESG score was stable on an annual basis, several factors that change its score in the index include, quote, a decline in criteria level scores related to Tesla's, quote, or parentheses, lack of low carbon strategy and codes of business conduct, added Dorn. So that goes on to say furthermore, other factors such as reports of racial discrimination and inadequate working conditions at Tesla's plant in Fremont, as well as the way the car maker dealt with the NHTSA investigations after numerous deaths and injuries were linked to its autopilot cars, also contributed to the decline in Tesla's S&P DJI ESG score. Trash, trash, trash. If you did not believe that this whole ESG thing was just a load of BS to begin with, something so that, you know how when you go to the grocery store, you see labels on everything that says organic? It's like it's the new thing. We put organic on everything or sugar-free on everything, yet we all know it's not really organic. They just met a certain criteria to call something organic, or it's not really sugar-free. They just met a certain requirement, or they have fructose or something else in there. It's not technically sugar, so they get away with it. Okay, welcome to that. ESG is for stocks now. In other words, what's happening is we are now greenwashing all of these companies, all right? We're doing this just to make people think that they're investing in something that's good and has merit and they're doing the right things when really, let's be honest here, all right? I have worked for an oil company before. I have. And I'm telling you right now, the fact that they are claiming, or ESG, the S&P 500 index is claiming that somehow an oil company is greener. No, look, let me explain to you how this works. First of all, you have ships all over the world that are exploring for oil. All right, that's what they're doing. Every one of those ships is burning many, many barrels a day. Okay, literally thousands upon thousands of gallons a day just of oil, just to be able to move around, just to do basic operations for exploring for oil. And then you have to, once you explore for it, you have to drill to see if you found anything. Guess what you're doing there? You're burning more. Then you have to actually plug that hole up, have another vessel come in that's actually going to do the extraction and actually start pulling the oil out of the ground, out of the sea or the earth or wherever. And then you have to transport it. Guess how that happens? And then you have to refine it. And then you have to send it everywhere. And I'm skipping like 10 different steps in all of this, right? Like there is just so much, and this is before it ever even gets to the end consumers who are going to put it into their gas guzzling vehicles. Now, people sit there and say, oh, but Tesla has a high carbon output. Electric vehicles aren't as green as people say because you still have to mine for all these metals so that you can create the cathode and the anode for these battery cells. Yes, that's true. But that is not a nuanced way of looking at this, all right? At the end of the day, when it comes to the oil industry, it's never ending. You have to keep going over and over and over, right? You have to keep putting out new supply. With the batteries, eventually you get to a point where you don't have to keep mining for all of these metals. Eventually you have enough where we can just recycle them, right? And we can reuse them. Sure, they'll still be mining, right? Because it's inevitable. But the point is that we can reuse a lot of these things that were in vehicles. We can use those for just stationary storage, right? There's a much more recyclable ecosystem within that. And on top of that, when people talk about the amount of carbon it takes to make an electric vehicle, what they're not taking into account for is the life of the vehicle, and you have to account for that. Anyways, I could go on a huge rabbit hole down on this. This is just ridiculous. If there's no other reason, this just proves to you that ESG is just greenwashing everything. That's all it is. It's no different than going to the store and seeing sugar-free, and you know there's sugar in there. It's no different than seeing organic on a box of cereal. Like, how does that even make sense, right? There's nothing organic about a box of cereal. Like, come on. So I just want to address that. And for anybody who thinks this is why Tesla's down today, no, like, sorry, you're getting really confused. Tesla's down today because the market's down. Tesla has essentially been tied at a beta of 2 to the NASDAQ nonstop for quite some time. So it has nothing to do with that. Well, with that said, I'm not here to talk about a horrible stock price. I'm not really here to defend why Tesla isn't a evil carbon emitting company. I'm here today because I want to talk about something extremely exciting, something that a year ago would have sent the stock up probably $100 over this news. Elon Musk made an announcement last night. Take a look at this. Elon tweeted, Tesla AI Day number 2 on August 19th. So many cool updates. So right out the gate, everybody starts thinking, oh, what does this mean? What does this mean? Tesla AI Day number 2. Why are they doing a second one? Why are they doing something else? Or what could this mean? Is this have anything to do with the FSD? Does this have anything to do with Dojo? Oh, what about the humanoid? Right? I had all these thoughts too. In fact, my first inclination was, okay, what would number 2 be? Okay, maybe Dojo's ready to come online. Okay, maybe Dojo is better than the NVIDIA clusters. Okay, that would be huge. Okay, and we'll talk more about that in a second. And then FSD. All right, well, by August, okay, if we have 10.12 come out now, say this week, maybe by August we'll be on the full stack, right? So we get city streets, highway, and parking all in one stack, right? We've been waiting for that. That's version 11. Maybe that'll be out already. And then, of course, Optimus, right? Optimus could be coming out as well. And maybe just if we can do just basic things, like that would be huge. That'd be enormous. But then I was thinking, well, that's a little basic. Tesla doesn't normally, that's not very their style to do things that you would predict them to do. And all I'm doing in my head is just thinking about, well, what'd they do last time? Okay, so all they're going to do is take what they did last time and just give us updates. Well, that doesn't seem like Tesla. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think this is exciting. I think that there may be other things we're not aware of or different things they're going to focus on. But what I want to do in today's video is I want to talk about my perception about those 3 pillars, Dojo, FSD, and Optimus, the humanoid, and give you my perspective about what good or amazing would look like for AI Day number 2 if we just assume they're going to do what they did last time and give us updates. All right. But before we get into that, let's take a look at some other comments that we heard from Elon replying to Dave Lee. So here we can see Dave Lee says, wow, can't wait. Will you show a sneak peek of Tesla bot, Optimus, the humanoid? And Elon very bluntly just says, yes. This is great news, all right? Elon is, people talk about Elon time, yet here we are. Elon literally said last year that they hope to have a prototype to demonstrate by this year, with thinking of small volume production by the following year. As of right now, looks like Elon is on course for that. And I would like to point something else out. Take a look at this. Here's a tweet from Elon a few months ago talking about streetcars, but you can see he mentions at Karpathy, so Andrej, is on a 4-month sabbatical. Okay, so this was in March 27th. All right, so if we just assume April, May, June, July, that's 4 months. Yes, I count this way. This is how I count. So that's July. And guess when Tesla AI Day, August 19th. Is this a coincidence? Maybe. But maybe this is also a good sign that we'll have Karpathy back, that we will have a AI Day with him there, and we don't have to worry anymore about these thoughts that people are putting out there that he's leaving and going somewhere else, and that's why he's on a sabbatical. Hopefully, it's just, his work was done. He could go on project vacation for a little bit, take some time to himself, recharge, get connected with the world, and do some cool things. So I'm pretty happy about that with the timing, right? It seems to be right in line with that. Now, here are my thoughts. Let's start with Dojo, okay? I hear a lot of people talk about Dojo, and a lot of people seem to be very misinformed about what Dojo is. Let me explain to you. Dojo is nothing more than a supercomputer. What it really is, it's a cluster, okay? It's a cluster of nodes, a cluster of servers, all right? And what Tesla currently uses is a cluster of NVIDIA GPUs, right? So it's just a GPU cluster, right? You got servers, you got storage, you got memory, you got network in between them, right? So that's what Tesla currently uses, is this NVIDIA GPU cluster. It's got processors, it's got probably NVMe drives in there, right? I mean, this pretty boilerplate stuff. And that's all it is. You can think of it as supercomputer People call it a cluster. A cluster is nothing but a aggregation of all these nodes that are tied together to work together. And that's all Dojo is. But the difference about Dojo is it's an in-house processor it's made that's cooled in a very unique way. And what's even more unique is the way each one of those tiles, if you remember, so think of those as the compute node, how each one of those tiles speak to each other, okay? And the way that works. The biggest limitation when you grow these big server farms out, or these clusters or supercomputer, right? Just think of all this as interchangeable. The biggest issue with these is the latency and the bandwidth when they're communicating, the I/O, right? Essentially, you start creating all this data, and to understand where things are going to go encompasses a lot of metadata, and that just becomes sprawl, right? And so I'm not trying to get too technical here, but the point is with Dojo, something that they hadn't even solved yet during AI Day last year was how to deal with a lot of that latency or the constraints there. Now, they've already dealt with it from a cooling perspective in the heat, so that's pretty great. But I think this time, in this AI Day, they might actually be ready to show a actual proof of concept, right? To have, maybe 30 or 40 of these tiles aggregated together, actually working, actually performing a task. So I think we'll hear some updates on Dojo, and I hope we do. Moving on to FSD. FSD, I feel like we know a lot what's going on with FSD at this point. All right. Right now, the biggest thing is to convert more of the neural nets to go away from looking at a bag of points and using essentially a stitching of all the cameras together, surround video really, and making a decision based off that, rather than frame by frame, bag of points, determining what each pixel is, etc. Right. So I think we know that. But maybe there's something else happening that we're not aware of, right? Maybe there's another iteration. Maybe on August 19th is when they're going to talk about the single stack, right? One stack to rule them all, as people say. Version 11. I think any update on that would be a big deal. There also might be an update talking about the Robotaxi network. Maybe they release an app for the Robotaxi. Maybe they decide, okay, we're going to start doing test trials with robotaxis in these cities, and we're going to see what happens, because inevitably that's how they're going to have to start, right? They're going to have to start in certain locations, right? A beta site, if you will, see how that goes, iterate, make sure it's safe, and if it's good, then we can start the ramp onwards, right? So I don't think we'll see much more from FSD other than something like that. I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping that they have some great groundbreaking information to tell us or something, right? It seems like there's something going on where they're very excited internally and they haven't told us anything yet. Again, I can't stress this enough. Elon Musk was just at the All-In Summit, and he anticipates having 1 million FSD beta testers by the end of this year, right? I mean, again, we are midway through May. He's had plenty of time to back out from his end of this year estimation, and he hasn't. If anything, he's stepped on the accelerator on it. He seems more convinced than ever that at the end of this year, they will be at better than a human level with FSD beta. Okay, so then we have Optimus, which is probably what everybody thinks this is going to be about, all about Optimus. And to me, for Optimus to be a success from a first ever demo, right? Last year during AI Day, we just had I don't even know what it was. I mean, for all I know, it was just plastic, or maybe it was cardboard. Who knows? Probably not cardboard. But my point is, it just stood there, right? It was just a display. It was a mannequin, if anything. And then we had the person who fake danced, right? So that's all we saw last year. This year, first thing that I think would be a success with Optimus, if the form factor still looks the same. If the form factor is still sleek and small as they had there, and I think it will be, right? And the reason I think it will be is because at Cyber Rodeo, they had that same one on display. So I don't think they would display that again if it wasn't going to still look the same. And the other reason I think this is a big deal is because, size matters when it comes to this. No jokes here. But the size does matter. You look at Boston Dynamics and what they do, it's, these big robots that have all this gear and all these wiring. It's not aesthetic, and it's just real big, and it's not something that can, it's not something you would want in your house or just everyday stuff, right? So it doesn't resemble a human. So I think if it's in the same form factor, that'll be a big deal. Then how does it move, right? Can it walk? Can it stand up? Can it bend over and pick something up? The fingers, right? Each one of those, that's a big deal, right? That's a lot of different things to master from a mechanical perspective, a lot of actuators involved. And not just that, but the dexterity, right? Do I have the dexterity to sit there and pick something up that's very fragile, a piece of glass, right? A little piece of glass, and pick it up without shattering it? Do I have the dexterity to pick out a very small nut or bolt out of a bin of just, 100 different nuts and bolts and find the right one I want, right? Being able to have these natural organic movements is a big deal. So the form factor being the same, the way it moves, right? If again, just standing, falling over, getting back up, deadlifting something, picking things up with the fingers, if it can do all that, this is huge. All right, this is absolutely huge. And then the batteries, okay? How does it work? Where are the batteries stored on the bot? How does it charge? How long does it last, right? Because these are other big things, right? A humanoid isn't going to be useful to anybody if it's only good for 2.5 hours, then it has to go recharge, right? Like that's not really convenient. You need something that can last, let's say, a work day, right? Or maybe the majority of work day and then it recharges during a lunch break. So maybe 4 to 5 hours, right, of span. I think that would be pretty good. And then finally, anything else beyond that, I mean, that would already be amazing. If they could do that in less than a year or call it a year, and they did all that from scratch, that would be mind-blowing. At that point, you could say, okay, they caught up to Boston Dynamics in a year. And then that's not even talking about what they're actually working on, which is the AI, the software, right? Seeing what it can do from a software perspective, showing us different things like the humanoid already taking a bin of nuts and bolts and separating them out, right? Doing tasks like inputting the wires within a Tesla vehicle. I imagine any demonstration would probably have something to do with Tesla manufacturing related. So I think this is a very big deal. Again, this is something that Tesla, since the beginning of the year, Tesla has opened up Berlin, has opened up Giga Austin. 4680 batteries are happening. They are being produced. We see deliveries out of Berlin. We see deliveries out of Austin. FSD is just getting better and better every time. Elon has said that FSD beta will be better than a human by the end of this year. He has not relented from saying that. He has, been even more emphatic about that. Elon's not selling more shares. The company has no debt now. Each quarter is just better than ever from Q4 and Q1. Sure, we have a little bit of setback possibly with Q2 because of Giga Shanghai, but that's not something that has nothing to do with Tesla. That's a China thing, and it's temporary, and it's already over. Okay, and then on top of that, you throw in the stock split that's been announced. We're waiting for, well, I guess it hasn't been announced, but it's been announced, right? The stock split, we're still waiting for investor grade rating to be good. I mean, what else? And now AI Day Part 2, right? There's just so much going on with Tesla right now, and somehow with all that going on, down 44% for the year. It's for lack of a better word, it's silly and it's stupid. This is not where Tesla should be trading. This is way, way below what this company that's going to revolutionize the world is revolutionizing the world. And that takes me back full circle to the ESG stuff, right? The fact that Tesla as a company alone has taken every car manufacturer out there, put them on notice, and now they're all trying to make electric vehicles. Yet Tesla is not part of the environmental, social governance index for the S&P 500, even though that's all they did, right? No big deal. That's all they did. That was last year. That was so a year ago. Tesla's not doing anything for the environment. It's not like that's their core mission to accelerate the world to sustainable energy. It's just silly. All right. Well, we're gonna leave it there. Keep your heads up. Don't get too down on the stock price. It sucks. I'm with you on that, but there's nothing we can do about it. All we can do is be excited for the things that we have to be excited for. And right now, as far as I can tell, we have Investor Day, we have a potential stock split, which who knows what will happen at this point. And then we also have AI Day. So a lot of good things to happen. So, be happy about that. Be happy about what you have. Be happy with your family. The weather is changing. It's nice, right? Go to the pool, go to the beach. Go eat some good food, have a nice drink, right? Just enjoy the things you can. It's hard. I get that. It's easy to say that on paper, but whenever you see your net worth and your investments go down and maybe you see a lot of red, maybe you see a lot of red, right? It's hard. I get it. I'm with you there. I'm feeling the same pain. My fiance is feeling the pain. My best friend's feeling the pain. We all are. It's not just Tesla. It's everyone, all right? But we have to live still. And we have to continue to move forward don't let this ruin your days, okay? Still find something in your day that's beautiful and something that you can latch onto and focus on that. All right, well, we're going to leave it there. If you enjoy this type of content, if you want to help share this with everybody else, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. You can find a link to my Patreon down below, and you can also find a link to our merch store down below as well. All right, I love you all. Happy Wednesday. See you guys on Friday. Peace.